Welcome to the Coaches Cafe, brought to you by the Priority Academy. Hi folks, how are you doing? And welcome to the Coaches Cafe podcast or videocast if you're watching this on YouTube. It's my absolute pleasure today to have with me Joyce Hardie. Joyce, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. It's great to have you here. We were just having a chat beforehand about where you're from, the Glasgow in the wonderful country of Scotland. So thank you for joining me all the way from there. So Joyce, just tell me to start with a bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today and how you got to being a coach. Where did all that come from?
It was something I always wanted to do. I wanted to be in the helping industry in some ways, to coin your phrases. So I went to university when I was 17, did social sciences. And at that point, I wanted to do social work. That was where the focus was. But I was too young when I graduated, so to take a year out. Life got in the way and I never went back. So I spent 30 odd years managing commercial property. Absolutely loved it. And in some ways it was like social work because I was solving everybody's problems within the buildings. And that's, social work would probably have been easier at times.
Yeah, I bet.
So I did that for 30 odd years, absolutely loved it. And then about 10 years ago, I got ill.
Okay.
Developed a chronic medical condition, which at the time was managed by medication and we were okay. And then I took a viral infection on top of that, and it just wiped me out, which meant that I couldn't work a full-time job. I didn't know from one day to the next how I was going to be. So working for anybody other than myself just wasn't an option. So I set up my own business, again, doing something different. It was a follow-on from the facilities stuff, a writing business where I produce all sorts of documents for clients and I do health and safety and all that kind of stuff. And then about 7 years ago, my world fell apart. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. It was just a horrible, horrible time. And I got myself into a really dark place. Started with a glass of wine a night and then bottle of wine a night. And then it was just getting absolutely ridiculous. So I knew I needed to do something about it.
Sure.
So I went online to look for support. And this is not being disrespectful to any young coaches out there, but I couldn't find anyone who had the life experience that would get where I was in my life and get with what was going on in my life. And I kept thinking, that's ridiculous. There should be somebody out there to help. And as it turned out, it was through an acquaintance and then someone else that I was introduced to, a counsellor that was introduced to, that I got myself back on my feet. But every now and again, this little voice kept saying, somebody should be there for these women. This isn't fair. So a couple of years ago, 2019, I decided that I was going to do something about it. So I did some more studying, just to make sure that I was up to date with current processes and thoughts, and to see what changed in the 40 years since I'd studied it before. Not much, can I just say? A lot of the theory and everything was still there, but I did that. I got the certifications and I started my coaching business.
Fantastic. So you've been going since 2019, or did you start in 2020?
It was the very start of 2020.
Wow, what a year to start that was.
Absolutely perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you mentioned that you specifically help women. Is that correct? Do you specifically help women?
I specifically help women over 40. Normally, I do work with younger women, but in the main, it's over 40. And it's helping them through that period in their life when they suddenly don't know what their purpose is anymore. Maybe the kids have gone off to university, or elderly parents that they've been caring for passed away, or, the menopause and other things just get inside their head and they just don't know what's going on. So I work with them, normally helping them eliminate self-doubt, because that tends to be what's behind everything that stops them going on. And ironically, although when COVID hit, business just fell off the cliff, but very quickly picked back up again as people took time to think about what they wanted, and more importantly, what they didn't want from life. I think we all realized what's important, and a lot of women wanted to make these changes, but I don't know what else I can do. I've done this all my life, but I'm too old to learn technology. But and that's the kind of women that I work with. So we get rid of the doubts and tell them they can do anything that they want to, and get on with it. And I suppose to a certain extent, I am an example of that, because I started my first business at 54.
Wow.
I now run 2 businesses. I volunteer. I'm a trustee for a charity. I'm a director from a community development trust. I've written 2 books. So all in the last 7 years, I've suddenly proved that there is life, after 40, even after 50, there's life, and you don't need to stop. So I do practice what I preach. And I think in some ways that makes it easier, because it's a case of, look, if I can do it, you can do it.
It's exactly what I was just going to say. They've got no excuse when you're sat opposite them or at the other end of a screen, have they?
Yeah, and especially, technology is a big problem. And I hold my hands up and say, I am no techie. I've still got my paper diary. I still take notes and write it down. But there are simple things that you can do to overcome that. So yeah, I tend to have an answer for most of the buts that they come up with, and it's really helping them get their head in the right place, which is all it is. And again, I've been there, so it's about sharing my story with a lot of them, in the hope that it'll inspire them to do something that they've always wanted to do, which I do. It just took me 40 odd years to get there, but we made it in the end.
Absolutely. And there really is no accounting for experience, is there? As much as anybody can be a coach, because you're always further ahead on the journey than somebody else, so you can always reach back and help somebody up. But when experience comes into it as well, there really is no accounting for it. You've just got so much there to offer. And can I say, what a truly inspiring story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. No, I think it's true. It's a weird thing, but the older women get, the more confidence they tend to lose.
Right.
And we're scared to step out of that comfort zone. And to a certain extent, I was lucky in that I was forced to do it.
Sure.
I wasn't sitting in a comfortable job that I had to give up and change to do something else. But that had its own hardships to overcome.
Absolutely.
And it's this, you don't need to do one or the other, you can do both. We can work it together, we can make it happen. And it's the joy when, I see that penny dropping, and all of a sudden they realize that whatever they've been talking to me about is not really what the issue is at all. And I just love that moment. You can see it in their faces, and I think, yeah, we've got it. This is where we start.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most joyful and fulfilling things as a coach, is when you see their eyes light up and their face shift. You just know it's happening, and you can see it happening. It's just one of the most amazing, fulfilling things as a coach, isn't it?
It is. It's absolutely amazing. And I do frequently get, but you knew that. Well, yeah, I knew it, but you had to work it out for yourself. I
Absolutely.
couldn't tell you, no matter how desperate I was or am in certain instances, to say, this is what you've got to change. You've got to work it out for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the difference between you can try and explain it to somebody so that they get it intellectually, but until they get it emotionally, it really doesn't sink in. And that's the shift you're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's brilliant. And I just love it.
Fantastic.
Part of me says, why didn't I do this before? But I wouldn't have had all the experience that I've had if I hadn't did this. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, the universe showed up for you when you needed it the most, and the universe is showing up for those ladies that you're helping when they need it the most.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. It's just about believing.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you were to offer 2 or 3 main tips to the ladies of the age that you're working with, so that people can get some value out of this interview today, what would be your top 2 or 3 tips to those ladies?
My top one is definitely do one thing that scares you every single day. I absolutely love that. And it works. It doesn't need to be a big thing. It can be saying hello to the bus driver or starting a conversation with the girl at the checkout in the supermarket. It's just something that you wouldn't normally do, and then build on it. And you'll be amazed at how quickly your confidence rises.
Yeah.
The other one comes from an Eleanor Roosevelt quote, which says, a woman's like a tea bag. You don't realize how strong she is until you put her in hot water. And
I love that.
and that's true, because we are so capable. If our kids get into trouble or whatever, we can cope with anything. And
Absolutely.
what we need to do is to put that logic on ourselves and try dipping ourselves into the hot water every now and again. And that will show us just how strong we are. And the other one comes from being about with your kids. When it comes to our kids, we're lionesses. We will take on the world for our kids. So why not use some of that bravery and turn it around and find out what works for you as an individual, rather than the fighting for the kids? It's fight for yourself instead.
Absolutely. I think, and that's a really important point, because by fighting for yourself, you are effectively fighting for your kids, aren't you? You're showing them the way. You're showing them what's possible. And our children, no matter how old they are, whether they're young tots or whether they're in their teens or 20s, they still look to us as parents. So showing
Absolutely.
them what's possible is just going to show them the way.
And I think one of the most special moments that I've experienced in recent years was when we were at the book launch of my first book. And my daughter turned and said, Mum, I'm really, really proud of you.
Oh, wow.
And that just got me. And I thought, yeah, that is showing her what, as a woman, she is capable of doing. So, I'm missing up just thinking about it. But it is about getting that sort of feedback from the people that count, that make
Absolutely.
what you put yourself through worthwhile, very
Yeah.
worthwhile.
Absolutely. And what a special moment that must have been.
Yeah, it
That
was
must have
great.
just filled you up.
It did. I say, even thinking about it, I can feel it. But yeah, I think it's making your kids proud.
Yeah.
Is great.
Absolutely. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. So if people wanted to get in touch with you, if there's any ladies out there of the age group that you work with and they wanted to get in touch with you, how can they do that? Do you have a website? Is it through social media? What's the best way?
Yep, I've got a website. The website is called The Reignited Woman.
Oh, nice.
And all my contact details and everything's on there, or they can get me at Joyce at The Reignited Woman. It's not all about one-to-one coaching and big programs. I run a community, a very affordable community for women. So if they give up one coffee a month, they can join the community. And they can sit in the background and don't need to act until they're ready. And that's called the Reignited Hub. So again, there's information about that on the website that people can find for themselves.
Fantastic. And you obviously do some one-on-one work as well?
Absolutely. I do one-on-one coaching. I do group coaching within the hub. I do clinics. I do group clinics, and we do one-to-one clinics. We do a lot of workshops and training in there, that's all free.
Wonderful.
And then, if women want more than that, then we can look at what other packages are most suitable for them. But it's about helping. I want to help. I want to give back. I don't want to make loads of money. Been there, done that. That's not what this is.
Absolutely. Fantastic. So that's www.thereignitedwoman.com. Is that correct?
That's it. Yep.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So as we were to close out, and you could offer the almighty piece of advice. I know you've given 3 great bits already, and I appreciate that. Just in 1 or 2 sentences to that woman that's listening now, that's going, yeah, I think I should. What's that piece of advice?
Believe in yourself.
Absolutely, because everybody's got it in them, right?
Absolutely. It's just belief.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself, and you can do anything.
Absolutely. We were all born with everything we possibly need, weren't we? That's the way I look at it.
We are. We just let it lie dormant, and most of us forget that it's even there in the first place. One of the things I love asking my ladies is, what's on your bucket list? And 9 out of 10 will look at me and say, oh, I lost that 20, 30 years ago. So it's recreate your bucket list.
Absolutely.
And just go for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being part of the interview today, and the podcast or video cast or whatever we call it these days. I hold my hand up to not being that techie either. So, but thank you so much. It's been wonderful to have you on and talk through your story, and what an inspirational story. You must be a true role model to the ladies who work with you in your hub. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being part of this.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So, folks, if you're ready to jump in and get some help from Joyce, then go to www.thereignitedwoman.com. You'll find all our contact details on there, and I'm absolutely certain she'll be welcoming to you when you join the Reignited Woman Hub and the community there. And I'm sure there's plenty of people in there who you can connect with as well. So dive in, seek out Joyce's help, and I'm sure she can add something to your life and maybe reignite your life as well. That's it from the Coaches Cafe podcast for today. Thank you very much for watching or listening, depending on which way you're on, and I'll see you, or you'll hear me on another one real soon. Thanks very much, guys. Bye for now. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaches Cafe. Why not check out the Priority Academy to see what courses we've got on offer for you?